Let's continue our discussion about appropriate design, internal organization of course units, the article by Graham Lowe. And now we're going to see the criticism on the use of materials in a language course. Right. Before we discuss the criticism on the materials in a language course, I would just like you to think through some of the questions listed here. Firstly, could you think of some of the problems associated with this writing last solution approach, which we discussed in our previous module? Could you just imagine what could be some of the problems? Secondly, what could be some of the negatives of storyline solution approach? We remember we discussed this approach in our previous module. So once you have done with this, thinking about these questions, you could watch the video afterwards. Right. What's the criticism? The criticism leveled against, these two approaches, I mean, the storyline solution and writing with the ending, the course unit ending with the writing task is primarily because it sees learner as observer syndrome. Because the learner is very much always, looking at what's going on. So what happens is actually the writing last solution. Graham Lowe puts the word syndrome here because, for example, if the learners are unable to relate to what's being presented in a unit or in a storyline solution, they might be suffering from sort of syndrome, language learning syndrome. They might be more perplexed or puzzled instead of, acquiring the items of the language, right? So in this sort of criticism, we've got another solution by Graham Lowe, which is we can bring in some models and simulations. And in this way, the students sort of become part of what's going on in the classroom. And in other words, if we just continue to teach or continue to design materials, stick into the last storyline solution, and for example, if the learners are unable to relate to a specific character, they might become detached. And this sort of, and on the other hand, the unit ending with the writing task might not be able to relate to the individual or contextual needs of the learners. And this is what is happening actually in our state-run schools in the Pakistani context. We've got ready-made materials in the form of course books being taught by teachers and students being judged annually through these textbooks. And what happens is actually the students sometimes, while doing an exercise, they might be imagining what on earth we are doing. So this is how they tend to become detached, right? The storyline solution, the criticism on the second approach, which is used to sequence the activities of a course unit is what if students don't identify strongly with the characters presented in a story. So in the face of such criticism, what we can do, we could use some creative techniques in the classroom, exploiting the story, exploiting the characters, or bringing in some role plays where students could do some role plays, and this is how it could help them become more involved.